Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Ghost Stories from the World with Omen. We're still in Indonesia, so let us go from the haunted place we were at earlier this morning and talk about something called the Suster Ngesot. Now, the Suster Ngesot, folks, is a creature which roams in the Southeast Asian island areas, prowling, preying, seeking to end the existence of mere mortals who come in contact with this evil creature. Now listen, once again I had to do my research, which I'm doing now as we speak. The first story I got, I wasn't really feeling it too much, so I got a couple here. Now let's read from the first. Then of course, once again, I will tell you my experiences with the Suster Ngesot. Suster meaning nurse and Ngesot meaning sliding together refer to the ghost of the sliding nurse. Legend has it that this ghostly figure is said to be the spirit of a nurse brutally raped and murdered in a Jakarta hospital, drags her body through the halls of hospitals at night. All you hear echoing down the dark path is the sound of her broken legs sliding across the floor as she approaches. Now that was the quick little tidbit I got. I wasn't satisfied with that. So I dug deeper. I dug deeper and I found a little bit more about it. But unfortunately, it wasn't giving me what I wanted. So I called up a few of my contacts in the Indonesian countryside and I asked them. I said, hey, listen, I'm on a quest to find out more about the Suster Ngesot. And I've been told that you guys might be the ones to see about this Suster Ngesot. The guy shooed me away. He wanted nothing to do with the questions that I was asking. He said if I wanted to know more, then I would have to go to the hospital. I said, what hospital? I wasn't told of a specific hospital. They just said hospitals. They never said there was one in particular. He said, what do you think? It's just a sliding nurse at every fucking hospital. I said, well, that's what the fucking legend said, buddy. Don't get fucking coy with me. Shit, I didn't write it. You guys wrote it or spoke of it, and then someone transcribed it. But don't get funny with me, buddy. Shit, calm the fuck down. Let's talk more about this hospital that you're speaking of. He said it's deep within the jungle. You'll know that you've gotten there when you see the two stones which used to be columns to the stairs of the entrance. Now, I said at the entrance, is there still a fucking building there? I said, no, just a frame. It's not a very big hospital. I said, well, I was expecting it to be like a modern day hospital. He said, no. The origins of the Suster Ngesot go way back. Way back. And then he turned around and walked away. He just said deep in the jungle. Now mind you, a lot of Indonesia is jungle. So where am I supposed to start? He didn't give me any references geographically to say, hey, over here by the big mountain. Or by the red trees. Nothing like that. Or by the lake. Or river. Or whatever. Nothing. He just said deep in the jungle, a hospital. Two stones where columns were. So I'm figuring he's not the only guy around here who has to know something about this. So, obviously, I ask questions. I ask a lot of questions of a lot of different people. And I keep hearing the same thing. Deep within the jungle, hospital, rocks, column, foundation. The origins of the Suster Ngesot. I'm getting fucking frustrated now because no one's just telling me exactly where it is. You know, I sit down. This small little cafe, I guess is what it is. You know, they sold food and drink. Ordered something. Don't know what it was because I don't read the language. Didn't care. It looked delicious. I ordered it. It was delicious. I sat there eating my whatever it was and drinking whatever it was. And it was, like I said, delicious. And it made me think. Maybe I'm going about this the wrong way. Maybe I shouldn't ask about the Suster Ngesot. Maybe I should say I saw one. And saw it someplace that they might not think it would be, right? So, I figured I'd go to the movie theater, right? Go to the movie theater. And that's what I did. Went and watched a scary movie. In fact, I watched Suster Ngesot, the urban legend. It was great. It was a great movie. Sitting there, I'm all chilled by it, watching this nurse slide story. Terrible. But it didn't touch on what I had been told. Nowhere in this movie did they say anything about this origin. So I'm figuring, even the movie is trying to hide it. But anyway, I'm watching the movie, and so I figure, now's the time. Now's the time. Now, towards the end, right, people are starting to get up. They haven't actually gotten up and started walking out. So I look to the back, and I yell, "Oh my God! Oh God!" Right, and everybody turns around and looks. And I'm like, "Oh my God, you guys didn't see her. You didn't see her? Oh, you know, playing it up, you know, looking all scared, petrified and shit, making it seem as if I really did see something, right? You know, people come running over to me. What did you see? What did you see? You know, some of them are speaking a language I don't understand, but a few of them are speaking, you know, English, broken as it is, but English nonetheless. So I'm listening to this, right? And they're listening to me. So I've got their attention. They're a captive audience. Oh God, God. Shit, you know, at first I thought maybe, guys, it was just like some promotional shit for the fucking movie, you know, but then I realized that this movie is old and you guys are just playing it because it's a classic. But then I thought again, it's a classic, so they might classically try, well, get to it, man, what happened? One of the guys yelled, right? You know, he's getting mad, he's sweating, he's so, like, in anticipation of what it is that I'm going to say. And I lay it out there for him, I tell him exactly what it is that I saw. I said, listen, I saw a sliding nurse. What? Suster Ngesot. I saw Suster Ngesot. She slid out the door as I was looking up. So, you know, the credits and things. I just happened to look at the back door to make sure I'd be able to get out because, you know, I want to leave before all you people leave because I want to get out. And I don't like being stuck behind people. But anyway, I looked back to see if it was my time to go. And I saw her. Quick glimpse. She slid right out the door. Like, how do you know? I was like, she looked at me. And I saw death in her eyes. I saw death in her eyes. Nurse's uniform it was. Old though. You know, very old. Like, really old. Like, really old. Like, you know, old. Not like modern day nursey stuff. But like, you could tell she was a nurse, but it was an old nurse. Like, right before, I think, they used the Red Cross. But she looked nursish. You know, somebody called bullshit. Another person called bullshit. People started walking away murmuring, oh, fucking tourist, piece of shit, fuckface, dumbass. Doesn't know what he's fucking talking about, Suster Ngesot. Nothing. He saw nothing. Right? But there was one person, young lady, walks over to me. She says, I know you're lying, but I know why you did this. I said, why did I do it? You want to know. I want to know what? You want to know where the hospital is. I said, I do want to know where the hospital is. How do you know that I want to know? Because you asked the questions that need to be asked of those who know where it is. I said, but I didn't ask anything. I said, oh, it don't matter. Who cares? I know where it is. Do you want to go or not? You know, so she, you know, seems frustrated with me, right? Like, because, you know, I'm trying to play like, Mr. Secret Agent and shit. Like, I don't want them to know what I'm looking for, even though they know what I'm looking for, because who else would be coming there talking about Suster Ngesot shit and not want to see it, right? Who doesn't want to see a slide? Now, here's what I'm curious about. Right? And I know what you guys are going to say. This is a really fucked up thing to think, Reese. Like, why would you be thinking that? But here's what I'm thinking, right? If she slides backwards, does she look like a moonwalking nurse? And if she's moonwalking, is she therefore scary, right? Like, I wouldn't be afraid of a moonwalking ghost. Now, sliding forward that's kind of scary. That looks crazy. But, when Michael Jackson did it, it was cool. So, I think if I saw a ghost sliding backwards, male or female, then I would be like, oh shit, they must have been chilling with Michael Jackson wherever they were chilling with Michael Jackson at, dead, obviously, because they're not from the same place. But then, who doesn't know the movie? Who doesn't know? That's like a worldwide, but I digress. I'm getting way off track here talking about moonwalking and shit. When we're talking about the Suster Ngesot, the sliding sliding nurse that slides. Because they said her legs were broken. That's not what I was talking about either. So let me digress again back to where we need to be, which is this girl who now knows that I want to know where this hospital is, deep in the jungle. They said that's where it was. And it was deep in the jungle. It took us like 3 hours to hack through the underbrush just to get to an opening, to hack through more underbrush, to get to a clearing where there were 3 paths. And then she looked at me and said, your heart will take you where you need to go. And she fucking vanished. Poof. Behind the brush and trees and shit that was around and stuff, and took off. I heard her rustling through the jungle. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's really fucked up. She brought me here and left me here. And it's not like it's that hard to figure out which way to go back, because we had to cut our way through to get here. So, simple thing, just follow the path you made. So I guess it wasn't really a fucked up thing that she left me here. She did say she was going to bring me, and she didn't say she was going to stay. But she didn't bring me where I need to be, because there's 3 paths. 3 paths. Heart will take me to the one that I need to go. Why would my heart take me anywhere here? I'm not from here. I didn't know the nurse, obviously, because I wasn't alive when the thing went down. So I just go straight. Because, when in doubt, go straight, because you can go straight back where you came from, right? Easy thing to do. If you're going left or right, you got to remember the directions that you went. And if you take any more lefts or rights while traveling, you may forget the first left or right that you took in the first place. But if you go straight, you always remember, hey, I started straight down the path. So I just got to go back to that. All right, anyway. I don't need to take you through my thinking. Let's go into what exactly goes down. As I'm walking down this path, I start hearing voices, noises in the trees, birds in the canopy above, cawing, cooing, chirping. Bird noises they're making, right? I hear a monkey. I thought it was laughter, but it wasn't. It was a monkey, because he jumped out the tree, jumped across my shoulder, and hopped off into another tree. I was like, that was weird. Then I realized he robbed me of my bottle of water that was sticking out of my backpack. I was not happy about it, because it was kind of hot in this jungle. In fact, it was steaming. Whew. Sweating my ass off. Balls drenched. Shirt soaked. Oh, God, it was uncomfortable, to say the least. Mosquitoes were making a buffet out of me. They were tearing me up so much, I got lightheaded for a minute and had to sit down. Went to go drink water, remembered fucking monkey snatched it up in the trees, he's gone. I hear the monkey again. I look over, he's sitting in the tree off to my left. Just, sitting there on my bottle of water. He's not even drinking it, right? He's just holding it, making monkey faces like he's smiling, but I know that's not them smiling at all. I don't think they do smile. He's just making monkey faces. And I'm getting frustrated as fuck because I'm hot, sweating, mosquitoes tagging me like it's nobody's business. And I'm thirsty as fuck? And here he is laughing with my water. And what makes it worse is he's not drinking it, folks. He's not drinking it. So it's not like I can just run up under the tree and get a few drops as they spill down. No, he's just sitting there taunting me with this fucking bottle of water. So I start going in his direction, man. I'm intent on getting my bottle of water back. Intent on it. Start running at him. He throws the bottle of water, right? Smacks me clean in the face with it. Pow! Oh, I trip over a rock. Hit my face on another rock. Oh, shit! God damn it! Fuck! Fucking not look over the rock, mad at it. But then I notice it's not just any rock, it is a broken bottom section of a column. I turn over, I look at the other side, and it's the other column. Yes! Fuck you, monkey. Fuck you, but thank you. Fuck you. Fucking dick. You could have just pointed in the direction or tossed the bottle at it instead of smacking me, making me knock my fucking head on this rock. I get up, rub my head, grab my bottle of water, take a sip, look down at the two rocks. I'm here. I'm at the hospital. I walk up the path. Like the guy said, it's just a foundation. The building's maybe about the size of a small clinic or a large church, whatever. It's not huge, but it's big enough to have about 10 or 15 rooms. Small hospital, very small hospital. And you're asking, how would I know how many rooms it has if it's just a foundation? Well, when I walked through the doors of this hospital, I was transported into a realm. Paranormal, supernatural powers swirled about me. And this hospital became a hospital again, right? And inside the hospital were people and patients. Like I said, small little village jungle hospital. Mostly dealing with the things that the villagers would have to worry about, which was crocodiles, the occasional lizard here and there, snakes, certain fish, hunting accidents usually, some sicknesses. Nothing major, not like trauma. The worst trauma they had might have been, like I said, attacks from hunting and shit like that. But nothing major. Definitely no gun violence or anything like that. It was a hospital in the sense that people came there to be cared for. It wasn't a hospital in the modern day sense like we think of hospitals with, beeping, noise, and all this other stuff. It's very quaint, very, very, very small. Anyway, there was a nurse there. She was one of 3 nurses. Youngest of the 3 nurses. The other 2 nurses had been nurses for many years, and very experienced. But at the same time, they were kind of ugly. And I'm not saying this because I'm trying to be mean. This is what I saw. They were not very attractive women. They were not attractive even to some of the people there. So when this young nurse came along, she got a lot of attention. Now you're probably like, of course, she's a cute nurse. These are sick people, dying people or whatever, hurt people. They would, of course, want to be taken care of by the attractive nurse. And she's young. It wasn't just that. She was good at what she did. It wasn't about her looks, She didn't even think about herself in that way. She was a person who wanted to give, at home. She was taking care of her elderly parents. A very good child, wonderful, cooked for them, cleaned for them, tended to them at all times. And then when she wasn't tending to them, she tended to the hospital. The head doctor loved her as a daughter. Before she came along, his only 2 companions were the 2 older nurses who just so happened to be sisters. Now it's a small village, so everybody knows everybody, right? So they know her family knows their family. The families get along for the most part, right? Now they were the ones who encouraged her to become a nurse. They said, "Hey, it's a wonderful, wonderful occupation." Back then you didn't get paid money to do this stuff, So in order to do it, you did it because you really cared about it or you had a skill. And her mother, was a healing woman. She wasn't a nurse per se, but she did help people from her home. She would make like elixirs and tinctures and concoctions. And they would help people, tonics and such, right? So, she was good at what she did. She's very good at what she did. She's very friendly, very wonderful, very loving, very caring person. Now, this made the other two nurses very angry because, they weren't seen, people really just didn't want to be bothered with them. They kind of had attitudes because they were the first two nurses there. Well, one of the sisters was the first and the other was the second. So they kind of felt like it was their place. They didn't like that this girl was pretty much outshining them. And she wasn't being a bitch about it either. She was so helpful to them as well. She didn't understand or know. She was not aware of their dislike for her. Anyway, let me get to what's going on, right? It was a very bad storm one day. A ship, I'm not sure if it was a merchant ship of some sort, what kind of ship it was, but some men landed, or crashed, one or the other. They were hurt, a few of them. And there were a few of them that were not hurt. Anyway, they stayed at the town or village center where they have like a small area for, fishermen and such for this reason, This town doesn't run on money. It runs on just goodwill towards people. Keep that in mind. Goodwill towards people. No money involved, No need to rob. There's nothing to steal. Unless, of course, you're going to steal people's food and clothing. But beyond that, there was no money to steal. So people pretty much just did themselves, and they were good about it anyway, right? So these people who landed or crashed there obviously were not from around here because they're already acting a little wild and brolic. They're taking advantage of the people's hospitality and shit. They're harassing the women. But to the most part, there's nothing they really can do because the men of this village ain't no fucking hacks. Just because they believe in peace and quiet and shit, they know that to ensure this peace and quiet, which they love so much, that they have to do so sometimes with extreme violence. So the men, although rude and disrespectful and mouthy, they kept their hands to themselves. Now, the nurses heard some of these men in town talking about the pretty young nurse. Things that they wanted to do to her if they could get her alone by herself. Yeah. These two nurses cooked up a little plan to set her up. Hospital, like I told you, it's a small hospital, not much goes on. So there's very many times when the hospital is closed. It's only open when needed. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like a 24-hour thing. If the people get sick, they go get the doctor goes to the hospital, he does his thing, they stay there if need be. If not, they usually go home. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, I told you, modern day hospitals. It's just a hospital in the sense that people go there to be cared for and sometimes stay. Therefore, not a clinic, because a clinic you go in, you leave, you don't stay there. So this is why it's a hospital. All right, now, remember this. Hospitals closed, nurses at home, doctors at home. The two other nurses have gone down and spoken to these men that they've heard talking about what they want to do to this nurse. And none of it is good. None of it is good. She's pure. Good child. Probably no older than 17 or 18 years old. This is what I gather from looking at her. She looks young, but not extremely young, like a child. And besides, I don't think that children would be nurses. But then again, they could be, who knows, right? But she looked about 18-ish. Now, these nurses, right? They run back from town. Tell the men, meet them at the hospital. They go and unlock the hospital. The men go to the hospital. About 5 or 6 of them. Nurses. They go to the young nurse's house, banging on her door. Oh my God, there's been a terrible accident. You know, the doctor needs you. The doctor needs you. Now, she doesn't ask any questions because she has no reason to believe that these two women would do anything to her. Remember, the families know each other. There's no bad blood. There's no problems. There's nothing except this jealousy that is brewing in the minds of these two nurse sisters. And this plot that they have concocted to do harm to the young nurse. You know, the men wait eagerly, anticipating for their prey to be delivered to them like a meal. And delivered to them it was. She runs into the hospital, screaming the doctor's name. Doctor, doctor. But no doctor was there. No doctor was there. One of the men closes the door and locks it. Or puts something in front of it. They don't really have locks and things back then. He obstructs the door, and the other 5 men step out from the shadows. The young nurse, she doesn't understand what's going on. There's no doctor. What happens next, folks, I'm not going to go into in detail. Just understand that they did to her what the story says. Brutally. Brutally. It's terrible. What was even worse is that this wasn't enough. Knowing what was going to happen wasn't enough for the 2 sisters. No. This wasn't enough. No, it wasn't enough. They went and they watched from the windows. They watched this poor young nurse be brutalized and then murdered, strangled. She was brutalized so badly that before they murdered her, strangled her to death, she tried to escape, but her legs were damaged badly. And she dragged herself, pulled herself up against the wall. And as she was trying to stand, it's when one came up and choked the life out of her and slid her across the floor as he did. So what I'm thinking happened, and what did happen as I saw it, as it was presented to me, is her soul slid from her body at this moment. And as it slid from her body, it saw those 2 nurses at the window. That was their undoing. Their jealousy, their envy, their hatred for this poor girl for nothing but just being a good person. Well, the specter alerted the men to the attention of the women at the window, who thought that they wouldn't be seen because they shouldn't have been seen. But immediately the men knew they were there. Accosted them, dragged them into the hospital, and did to them what they had done to the young nurse, killing them both. Their souls leaving as well. Hence, the birth of the Suster Ngesot. As the area returned to its normal, presence, hospital returned to its foundation in the ground, and 2 columns returned to the stumps that they were. Before me stood, or floated I should say, 3 Suster guess it's 3 of them. The sister and the young pretty nurse. But only one of them slides. Only one of them slides. The young pretty nurse. And only one of them is extremely evil. And unfortunately, it's the young pretty nurse. See, for someone such as herself, who was good all the time, good, died, brutally tortured, her soul was twisted. And as it left her body, and upon leaving her body, she pointed and took with her the other 2 souls. Well, they became her slaves in the afterlife to do her bidding for an eternity. Now, you would say, well, since you know what happened, Reese, doesn't that, absolve her of her, purpose? Shouldn't she pass on? No. That's not what she intends to do at all, folks. No. So when you see a sliding nurse, just know that she is not there to help you. She's not there to make sure that you make it through the night. No. She is there to take you into the realm where she is. She's collecting souls, many souls of young children dying in hospitals, the souls of the old. A lot of people are like, oh, they saw a nurse before their loved one passed. She must have guided them to the other side. No, she's not there to guide you to the other side. She's there to deceive you and take you to where she keeps you. Her little collection of souls. And with her, the 2 sister nurses. They tend to the souls. For an eternity, that is their penance. To tend to the souls that this sliding nurse collects. To keep them in anguish, in agony. That is those nurses' jobs. The one thing that they did for just a second, just in that moment of jealousy and envy, they now have to do for an eternity. To continuously torture these poor souls who have nothing to do with what they've caused. So when you see this nurse sliding in your room, ask her to slide backwards and tell me if it looks like she's moonwalking. Because that would be interesting. She didn't moonwalk when I saw her, and she didn't kill me because I wasn't in the hospital. You have to be in a hospital, not like in it, visiting it, like in it. Like you're there as a patient for her to have any type of, control over your soul. And not only that, you can't just be there visiting the hospital or, there in the hospital like on some routine shit. It's got to be serious. It's got to be serious. Something that you could die from, but you're probably not going to, but people won't be surprised if you do. I mean, maybe slightly, because I thought he was doing okay, and he's not anymore. I was just talking to him yesterday type shit, and then that's when someone was like, well, I did see a nurse leave from here last night. And that's the other part of the sliding nurse that people don't know. You ever wonder why sometimes nurses are getting blamed for patients dying, and they proclaim innocence? Like, I didn't do it. They didn't do it. The sliding nurse did it. I told you, she's twisted. She is twisted. She doesn't give a fuck about shit. No patience, not the nurses that get blamed for the shit she does. The worse, the better. I believe she's turned into somewhat of a demon, to be honest with you. After learning all this shit, realizing what it was, as I always do, I traveled back to the places that I asked questions of before, and I relayed the information that I now had. And people were surprised to see me. You know, they were really surprised. I was like, why are you so fucking surprised? And they said no one ever comes back from the hospital in the jungle deep. I said, well, you know, I did. And maybe that's just for you guys around here that happens where, you know, you guys can't come back from the jungle. But I actually didn't have too much of a problem, you know, getting back. Went straight back down the path and shit, you know, found my way through the area that we chopped into, the jungle that we traveled through, and, you know, here I am. I had a delicious appetizer and drink combo from this cafe earlier today. If you wouldn't mind getting me that, you were the same exact person that was here when I ordered it. So whatever it was, because I don't speak the language and I have no idea how to say that, but that I had earlier. He made it for me. I sat down and I started eating. The girl from earlier that took me there came back and sat down at the table like it was okay, right? Like she didn't just abandon me in a place that they said they were surprised that I came back from. So in my head, I'm thinking, this bitch tried to kill me. Like, she tried to kill me, or at the very least, have me missing for an eternity. You know what I'm saying? That's really fucked up. She looks up at me, right? And her face was so familiar that it shocked me. I know what you're thinking, right? Why did it shock you? Because it was the nurse's face. It was the nurse's face. And she didn't say anything when she sat down. She just sat down, right? Same clothes as she had on earlier when she took me to the path. And I just looked at her. She looked at me. And her eyes went completely black. And that was it. She disappeared. I don't know what to make of it. And I'm sure maybe sometime down the road, I'll figure it out. It was eerie to say the least. You know, she didn't scare me, but shocking. Because she wasn't sliding. You know, when she was walking around this girl, as this girl, she wasn't sliding at all. So she may have manifested herself into something completely and totally different. And the sliding nurses that you see now could be her minions. Maybe that explains some of the suicides of nurses that people don't ever wonder. Like, why would a nurse kill herself in the hospital? You know, she's caring for patients. She signed up for this shit. She knows what it is. Why would she kill herself? Maybe the Suster Ngesot needs a supply of good nurses with good souls and good hearts in order to exist in this new form, right? To perpetuate the existence of it. Because if people stop believing in the legend of the Suster Ngesot, maybe then she'll cease to exist. We'll have to revisit that. But for now, I'm going to have to leave you all and return to the land of the living and not paranormal stuff. I want to thank you for joining me for today's story. From Ghost Stories with Omen from the world, or Ghost Stories from the world with Omen. However, I said it when I said it the first time I said it. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And, you know, that little bell thing there. If you like stories and video game videos and music and whatever other stuff we decide to throw up here on No Order Without Chaos, NOWC, well, go ahead and hit that icon. and you'll be notified when any of that shit flies out of our ass. Until next time, folks, stay safe. And to my Indonesian friends, watch out for that sliding nurse. She's up to no good.